Welcome to the DIY Pest Control Podcast, where you get the best info for those who want to perform their own pest control. The DIY Pest Control Podcast is brought to you by Nature Pest. Nature Pest has been providing the finest in commercial and residential integrated pest management for structural, lawns, trees, shrubs, and mosquitoes with better control and less contamination at an affordable price. For more info, visit us at naturepest.com.
Hey, this is Frank, the Pest Geek. I'm up here in an attic, going to do an attic inspection, and this house is having white-footed difficult ant that we can't control because we're finding them over the toilet, over the vent, and we're also finding carpenter ant. There seems to be some type of smell of dampness, so trying to figure out what is going on, and we're going to be going through this crawl space wearing a respirator because I don't know what's up here. I don't know what's been done, and so every time I go into an attic, I'm going to wear a respirator. I'm just going to take a look around. I'm not going to go very deep into every crevice, but trying to find any evidence of anything that could be related to this problem that we're having, and it has to be a moisture issue somewhere. Because we're having two different types of ants that like moisture and they need the moisture to survive. So let's figure this out. So we're over the bathroom where the ant problem is, right over here. And as you can see, there is the extractor. Now, two things could be happening. They're either climbing up to the roof of the house because of the trees and finding their way through and down that where the extractor is, where there's the ceiling fan in the bathroom, to remove the moisture, and they're getting in through there from the roof. The other problem is we found evidence right here of inside the insulation a lot of dead ants. So if they're getting in, how are they getting in? If they're up here, how are they getting out? We never see a trail on the outside, but all we see is the dead ants over the toilet every week, and this is the only evidence we have. This is the hard part of diagnosing an ant problem with this type of ant, which is known as the difficult ant, formerly known as the white-footed ant. And when you have these difficult ant problems, diagnosing them is the expensive part, not the treatment. The treatment is actually very simple. But diagnosing how the heck this ant is getting in and finding them when you can't find a trail, there's no visible trail outside at any time of the day. There's no trail on the trees that are touching the house. Every possible entry point is being treated, and we still don't know how the heck this ant is in here surviving and coming out. So, this is the frustrating part about doing this when we can't solve the problem. The customers had 3 and 4 companies over a year. Everybody is just applying Termidor because they think Termidor is a magic bullet and not trying to figure out how the heck, because no customer wants to pay for a diagnosis. It's like, I want a treatment. I don't want you to spend hours charging me for something, looking for it, when this is the only solution. When you've already sprayed and sprayed and sprayed and sprayed, and you're tired of spraying, and they are going to dust this attic with Delta dust, which is a bad idea to use a pyrethroid dust when you have these ant problems. That seems to be the cheap way out, to just dust it with some type of pesticide. This is why I'm wearing a respirator, because I don't know what the heck the last pest control company did, and I don't want to breathe it in, and neither do you. If I'm going to put a dust up here, it's going to be either diatomaceous earth or silica gel dust by itself, nothing with a pesticide. But we avoid treating attics with anything because of that reason. So I'm trying to find if there's a leak in the roof. Is there a moisture problem? The reason you're seeing all these lines on my screen is I got a headlamp on, and the headlamp, the hertz and the frequency don't align with the camera lens. There's other evidence like, poop, which could be, looks like a lot of lizards up here. How are all these lizards getting in here? We were already granular baited. If you can see, for the carpenter ant, we used a boric acid granular bait, which is this. This is not termite, it's nothing else. It's the boric acid granular bait because it also had a carpenter ant problem, and this will solve it. If you have American roaches, this will solve it. I'd rather use a borate bait in an attic that is very, very low toxicity potential versus using something else. Fogging the attic, which is ridiculous. Using a dust, which is not necessary a lot of the time. The ant is alive. Look, I just found a live ant. Let me take off. Hold on a second, I gotta get situated here. But there is a live ant. So there is a colony up here. I'm gonna dust this area. Look how she's removing the body of a dead ant, trying to get it out of the nest. That is customary with a lot of ants. This is how fipronil works, and a lot of these non-repellent products is when they're removing the ant from the attic or from the nest, they will become contaminated with the product that killed the other ant, and it is transferred. And this is a lot of the ways fipronil works, but you have to have a trail outside visible, and with white-footed ant, a fipronil spray application has proven ineffective. There's a resurgence of this ant. In the last 13 years, when I started in the business 15 years ago, this was the number one call I used to get that nobody could figure out how to control. We figured out how to bait it out of the structure with a liquid bait and not have to dust the attic. The recommendation was to dust the attic at that time. We figured out later we can just use a boric acid bait outside, but we have to find the trail. The difficult part has been we have not seen the trail. We can't find a trail. But now we know, getting up into this attic, which we have to do roughly about 1% of the time, now we're seeing the evidence that there is live activity in this attic. So dusting is going to be the recommendation with a silica gel dust to solve this problem. Okay, so here's the only evidence we see of the ant. Let me get close and do a micro. That's it, this is it, on the toilet. On the floor. And if we look up, there's that extractor right there. So we don't know if it's, like I said, that goes straight out to the roof. It vents out straight out through the roof. So the ants are either crawling in through the roof and getting on top and crawling down, or there is an infestation in the attic. And in this case, we found the infestation in the attic.
Thank you for listening to the DIY Pest Control Podcast. Please remember that although Franklin Hernandez is a certified and licensed pest control operator in the state of Florida, the content of this podcast is for informational purposes only. You should consult your local and state government or cooperative extension service before performing any pest control service. Remember to always read and follow label directions because the label is the law.